back then we had this. They had this vision of running Highway 14 4 lanes all the way from the South Dakota border to the Wisconsin border, and I don't know if we're going to make that, Mayor. At least in my 3 years, probably not in my lifetime to where we're going, and that's why this to me is both a very exciting moment because I commend Commissioner Zelli. He's the one who really engineered these corridors of commerce and pulled together the resources to make these projects possible. And I don't want to understate the significance of them because they're a way of demonstrating to Minnesotans what can be done if we provide the resources necessary to proceed. But it's, I want to put in perspective that 2.5 miles to get to Dodge Center, it would be another 5 rounds of projects, which would be another decade or more, and that's not going to get us where we need to go. We need to, and we don't even have the money to proceed that far. So if we're gonna rebuild the highway system in the state, we're going to expand it. We're going to get four lanes from Rochester to New Ulm. The need should be obvious on Highway 14. In fact, it should go farther both ways to really handle the traffic that moves what moves commerce, what moves jobs, provides jobs in Minnesota. So we just absolutely have to find the resources necessary. We cannot rebuild and expand the highway system in Minnesota on existing revenues. We can't. We can move money around. We have a surplus now. We can move money from the general fund surplus over to the highway trust fund, but that's not going to solve our problem. And it's not going to hold up when the next economic downturn occurs unless we've dedicated the revenues necessary to have a sustained effort, an expanded effort to build over the next decade and beyond. And we have a choice. It's up to all of us. And the decisions we make are going to decide whether we and our children and our grandchildren have adequate highway system in Minnesota, or whether they're going to have to go from 4 lanes to 2 lanes to 4 lanes to 2 lanes, which is the most congested, causing, and dangerous part of the highway system is when people are traveling and they suddenly realize they're going to run into 2 lanes, and so they're making the decisions, taking actions that they shouldn't take because they want to get ahead of the car in front of them because they know they're going to be stuck for the next 5-10 miles if they don't. So we're really at a critical point, and I'm hopeful the legislative session next year can get beyond the stalemate that existed this last session about how to pay for this. But it's only going to have to come from us. It's going to have to come one way or another from the people of Minnesota. There's just no way around it. We get federal money in part, but that's going to be inadequate because they're involved the same. Or no, I shouldn't say the same. They're involved in their own quagmire there, which is much worse than anything we're contending with. And the same thing, we're just not willing to put the money into building and rebuilding in this country, and we're going to pay the price for decades to come. So I just salute Mayor Kuntz, and I salute Commissioner Zelli, and I thank Representative Petersburg for what has been accomplished here. I think it's a cause for significant celebration, and we should be proud of what we've accomplished, but just look down that road and see where it ends, and see how much more remains to be done. And that's the real question, is whether next year we're going to take on that responsibility and move this all the way to the Dodge Center and then move it west of Mankato and keep moving it until we reach those borders. And then we'll have a real celebration. Thank you.
It's truly a pleasure to have the governor come down. That just shows you how important Highway 14 is to the state of Minnesota and our governor. So thank you very, very much for that. The next gentleman is Commissioner Zelli. He's traveled all over the state of Minnesota looking for ideas and suggestions and opportunities to figure out a way to fund this highway system. So with that, I'll turn it over to the Commissioner.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mayor. I want to join Governor Dayton in thanking you. This is a really important day. It's just an important symbol when we dedicate the first phase of what we expect and hope will be multiple phases as we address Highway 14. It does stretch across the whole state and provides an advantage service. It's not just that we have a lot of traffic. It is that we want to provide access. As a business person, I understand what access means in terms of business locations, in terms of employee movement, and also in terms of safety. I just got handed some of the safety metrics over the past year along different segments of Highway 14, and guess what? The segments that have 4 lanes are incredibly safe. The segments that have 2 lanes, not so much. So it is clear that there's multiple reasons why this is an imperative. What's thrilling about this day today is when we look at this project, it shows that what we can do, that we can follow up on this corridors of commerce idea, and we actually made this small dent in a larger vision. You know, I commend the legislature and Representative Petersburg for instituting the Corridors of Commerce program in 2013. It really has become a foundation for what we together believe can do to support not a highway system. We're here supporting the quality of life and the economic prosperity of the state. And that's what's so thrilling about transportation, is that it really is about what it does for people's lives, how it affects the livability, the business prosperity, and what we all value, particularly in areas in greater Minnesota. And I have traveled the state, and I can kind of recognize it community by community. I want to give a big shout out to our local District 6 staff, Jeff Lomick, who is on vacation, I understand, but much of his staff is here. You can raise your hand. MnDOT folks who've actually helped make this possible. Also the contractors, Mathwitz, I know that you've done great work in bringing this project through difficult conditions. We talked about it. There's many steps ahead. The groundwork for the next phase from here to Dodge Center, and we're going right through this cornfield toward a right-of-way, which we've been working on to develop a plan to make that whole connection from Rochester to New Ulm 4-lane. And this is an important next step. Now, we've been doing some of the right-of-way, some of the engineering, some of the project development, but guess what? We do not have the funding to complete that project. That's estimated in a couple of phases, but in total, it's about $160 million. So when you think about some of the funding, it is daunting, which is why in order to fund appropriately, it requires this dedicated, ongoing streams of revenue every year so that we can plan, build out efficiently some of these really important projects. You know, this Corridors of Commerce was 27 separate vital projects. This one is one of our first that we're able to celebrate. We have others that we'll celebrate. Many of them are simply the engineering, project development, and right-of-way acquisition that we'll be ready to do when we have the funding. So as exciting as the Corridors of Commerce program is, we were able to get a dent in the program to show what we can do, but we by no means have the full vision funded. Another aspect of this project is that it was 340 jobs to build this project. I know, and I heard 70 are out there this afternoon working on it just to do the finishing touches. So there is a short-term economic benefit, but really the best benefit is the long-term economic effect of building this additional capacity. The governor mentioned we have much more to do. You know, I have been traveling the state. I've been talking to communities. I've been talking myself. I've been many conversations over this past year. And guess what? We're going to be talking some more. I'm going to be out traveling around the state, and it's gratifying that I truly think it is a bipartisan recognition of the need. I don't hear very often people saying, oh, gee, we really don't need this investment. We do need this investment, and the fact that it's widely embraced is very gratifying. I'm completely believe that there is a will and interest in having a long-term, sustainable, and dedicated funds. In the next 2 years, there really will be cutbacks in our state road construction budget, as much as 45% cutback in 2018. So as much as we think there's busy construction this past year, and there has been a lot of construction, 300 projects this summer season. We had nearly $1 billion for projects, but it takes us time to set up those future projects, and in the out years, they are going away, but the need has not. So thank you again so much for allowing us to have this kind of a kickoff of the celebration of the Quarters of Commerce, and I'm thrilled to be here, and thank you all for being here today.
Thank you, Commissioner. Without our state legislature, we wouldn't have any Quarters of Commerce money. So with that, I'll turn it over to Representative Petersburg.
Thank you, Tom, for that introduction. This really is a celebration, and one that I think we want to continue to celebrate what we have done together and what we're able to accomplish. I think you've heard a lot of thank yous already, but I'd like to thank them again. Thank you, first of all, to the governor for being here today. I appreciate you coming down to a beautiful southern part of Minnesota. Thank you to Commissioner Zelli and all of his staff at the Department of Transportation, engineers, workers, and stuff that have done it. Matthewitz Construction for getting the job done in a timely manner. And thank you to all of you, those of you that supported the project, supported us in the legislature, supported us through taxes and gas taxes and so forth. I think one of the things that we all agree on that are up here is the importance of the transportation system and the importance of getting this job done and knowing that we are short of the funding necessary for the future investment. So we're all willing to do the investment. We still have some working outs to do on exactly how that's going to come about. But we do know that we have opportunities in the next year or two to already fund some of the programs that are there. So we'll keep doing that. I think it's important for us to remember that counties, townships, cities, and the state all have participate in our roads and bridges here in the state. When we realize that those entities are responsible for enough roads that go around the equator of the earth 5 times, you can understand the monumental task that we have in dealing with roads and bridges and all of the things that keep us safe and have access throughout the state. Quarters of Commerce was one of the things that I think was most beneficial for us getting this part done, but also to recognize that roads aren't just about getting people from one place to the other. It really is an economic development piece. It is really something that really promotes a growth in our jobs and the community itself. Most people never think about it until I point out that this corridor between New Ulm and Rochester is the only Quarters of Commerce that we've identified so far that doesn't either stop or go through Minneapolis-St. Paul. It's one of those that allows greater Minnesota to be more self-reliant and able to actually distribute some of the congestion and so forth from the metropolitan area and have the business down here in greater Minnesota. We have great people working here. We have great people living here. The work ethic is great. It's an opportunity for us to really participate in that. Now, we have some struggles yet in the legislature with differences of opinions on how we actually fund this, but I do believe that if we are smart in our investments and disciplined in our resolve to keep transportation a priority, we will succeed. I think that discipline is what we really need to continue on, and we need to have discipline to continue on from one legislature into another. With turnover, a lot of things change, but we need to stay disciplined in saying transportation infrastructure is one of the key responsibilities of the state, and we need to stay furnished with that. So the governor and I and Commissioner Zelli all believe in that investment. I know that we're all going to do whatever we can to work together to get it done, and I'll be excited when the next phase is done between here and Dodge Center, and even more happy when it gets completed all the way. And I'm not stopping working until it does get done. So thank you for coming out, and thank you for participating, and God bless.
Thanks, Representative Petersburg. when they gave the opportunity for the mayor to have the mic, it was my opportunity to add a couple speakers. So I know that this road is very, very important to Rochester and Destination Medical Center. So I asked Ardell if he'd just say a few words too.
FDR once, when was asked advice to give a speech, he said, "Be sincere, be brief, and be seated." So I'll try and do that. Sincerely, you've heard the thank yous, and I acknowledge all of those. That's just wonderful. Yes, Rochester, with the Destination Medical Center, projections are for 35 to 40,000 jobs in the next 20 years. Not all of those people are going to live in Rochester. They'll be living in the outlying areas of the cities that are near us. And so when many of those are maybe driving to Rochester or coming back, I always think of those that are coming to work in Rochester if they're working a day shift. They're driving into the sun on the way into work, they're driving into the sun on the way home, and when you're jumping from 2 lanes to 1 lane and all of that, that has got to be a challenge all the time. So we're really excited about this piece getting done, but we're really looking forward to this other piece from here to Dodge Center to get that all completed as well, and all the way to certainly to New Ulm, that other piece that I was at earlier this year when we had the groundbreaking for that Nicollet piece from North Mankato, and then hopefully, as the governor said, all the way to both borders. But it's good to see you all here. Thanks to all of you. Whatever your part is, it's all important, and we all benefit when we all benefit. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Ardell. You know, we're so fortunate in Owatonna to have a company called Viricon in our facilities that has made the glass for Freedom Towers, the Pentagon, and one of the largest users of the roads. So, Jim, if you'd like to come up and make a few comments about the commerce and how it affects you.
Thank you. I just want to say on behalf of the business community, thank you to our elected representatives for getting this done. Good transportation really isn't a Democrat or Republican issue. It's an issue that affects all of us. So on behalf of the business community and the many men and women who use this road to commute in and out of Owatonna in this region, thank you very much for getting this done.
Thanks, Jim. With that, we'll allow you to do the closing.
Can you give me a chair?
I'm Mike Doherty. I'm the Public Affairs Coordinator for Mid-Dot District 6. And just thank you again for coming out and celebrating this beautiful fall day. I wanted to acknowledge the staff from Senator Klobuchar's office, Senator Franken, and Congressman Walz, the Highway 14 Partnership, Senator Vicki Jensen, and Representative Daniels were not able to be here but sent their regrets, but also the celebration. So thank you. Please drive safely. Enjoy this fall weekend. And Governor, we hope we see a few roosters tomorrow while you're out in Mankato. So good luck. Thank you for coming.